Hello, Pisces. Welcome to your first reading with me. So I started doing these readings just for Virgo, and little by little, I've been having different people from different zodiac signs asking me to do a reading. And now, recently, I was asked to do yours. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm super excited to do this. Just keep in mind that this is a very overall reading, but that the messages that are here are definitely able and capable to help anyone. If you like more of a personal reading, I will leave the information below the video, and you can always reach out and we can set something up. So let's begin, Pisces. So here I see that Pluto comes in, speaking loud and clear. It rules Scorpion. This is one of, I would say, your partners in crime. Could be a brother in astrology. It comes with the element of water. And of course, we're talking about right away an emotional time. With this particular energy, though, it's not just about emotions. It's about really feeling like you're going through a death. And that death is just to take you to a whole entire new level. We know that Pisces, you happen to be one of the most spiritual signs in the zodiac sign. You guys come with Neptune, and he represents the depth of the ocean, which we could say that represents the depth of our emotions. So you are constantly dancing in all sorts of depth, whether of the subconscious mind or the shadow side. And you do it really well. You're very good at swimming in those waters. So that makes you a little bit, I would say, abstract, maybe a little different. But it doesn't stop you from being tolerant, amicable, friendly, and I would say quite tolerant. You're the kind of person, of course, not all of you, because it all depends on your astrological chart, but you can be quite patient to the point that you can take a lot until you get to that point where it's like, enough is enough. And then when you decide to say enough, watch out, because you'll give it to that person for all the times that you didn't. And once you make that choice, you know it's over. The other person may not know it, but you do. And that's, an aspect of you that it's what makes you. But of course, just like any other person, you have to go through cycles of growth and expansion, and you're going through one. And this is basically challenging you with all of the, I would say, the structure of your beliefs. And it could very well be with people that you really care about. For you, Pisces, you really care about family. You're a family person. And that's why a lot of times you take a lot. Sometimes you dance like Cancer. Another family member. So as you could see, you have all of your family members here. I didn't realize that until now. It's like, you have Cancer and you have Scorpio. Cancer is ruled by the moon and Pluto rules Scorpio. So you're getting a lot of help from your, I would say your brothers, brother and sister. Cancer is more of a feminine, Pluto is more of a masculine, so from your relatives. I would say you're getting a lot of help from your relatives. And it's to ease or to assist you through this cycle where things can feel quite painful. Now, with Saturn here, you're being helped to ground a lot of those emotions, because this is a lot of water. My goodness. So Saturn is coming and is saying, okay. You cannot stay in the emotional reality forever, especially if you're having a physical experience. So what are you going to do? What can you do? And it's going to show you all of those choices that you made where you might have settled, where you might have avoided to express your insights and you gave up. Or let's say you give up, not that you give up completely, but you negotiated, and in some ways you were the one who was at a disadvantage. And sometimes that could be useful in certain negotiations, but other times, no. Spirit talks about it's time to step up, and it's time to start speaking your truth and letting people know that, yes, you're very nice and conscientious of the feelings of other people, but you also have your boundaries. And sometimes, Pisces, if you've been avoiding doing that because it's, somebody that you love, your kids or your partner of 20 years, of your parents, Spirit is saying, so what? It has to be equal. It cannot just be you giving and giving. So as you can see, we all get to grow, through these cycles. And for you, it's just going through this crisis. This is like, I would say, an emotional crisis. It could be the darkest night of the soul, where you feel like everything is falling apart, everything that you worked so hard for, no matter what you try and you did at the end, it just didn't work. And that's what Spirit wants you to see. That yes, you can, give up your voice all you want, but that doesn't mean that because you do that people are going to appreciate you. It doesn't mean that people are going to pat you in the back and say, great for doing that. I can see how you gave up so much to help me. No, a lot of times, no, not in that way. So we're going here through a death, and that's what Pluto brings. But it's what it requires sometimes for us to release the ego, release that part of us that is always bringing up all kinds of stories. That, in those stories, they're not necessarily right. Remember that, we're a composition of different minds. We're physical, we're emotional, and spiritual. And all of those components have to work together. And if we're using one component more than the other, and then we're out of harmony. The best way and the most efficient way that we work, Pisces, is holistically. So the ego sometimes is the one that pushes us to do things, manipulate. And I'm not saying that you're a manipulator, but I hope you get what I mean. That sometimes, we try to do things because we want to fix it. We don't want the people that we love to suffer, and then we end up suffering. And that's not fair. You can only do so much. So the lesson here may not be very soothing, but it will be definitely life-changing. I can see that maybe for some of you, you've been married and all of a sudden your partner left you, or, somebody is going through a separation, now she's pregnant, And in some ways, that's making you worried and concerned about how you're going to survive. I mean, there's all different types of scenario here. It could be, a situation with a child, whatever it is, but it was the opportunity that will push you to do what you've been avoiding to do. Of course, with other Pisces, I feel like you've been doing this changes already, and to some degree, you've decided to stop creating situations where you're at a disadvantage. You decided to break away with all of those people that have gotten quite comfortable at always asking and not giving. So that could be also part of the change, where you find yourself that a lot of those old friends or people that you would hang out with are no longer there. And that it's an eye-opening, because now you could see how you've contributed in these situations and how you do not want to do that anymore. So here we're definitely expanding and growing. But with Pluto, I'm going to take the risk and say that, there could be some pretty dramatic and painful situations here. I myself went through one about a year ago with my youngest daughter. And, she moved to a different state. And when my oldest daughter did it, I was not as bothered as my youngest one. She was my baby. And all of a sudden she decides to move with her boyfriend to a different state. And it wasn't the move that bothered me. I was quite happy with her choosing something that made her happy. It was in the way that she did it. Somehow there was, a distancing throughout that process. I wanted to spend more time with her, and she was just too busy. And I could see that, now I think maybe that was the way she did it so that she could cope with the emotions. But to me, it was heartbreaking. And I will say that the situation stayed like that for about a year. And no matter how much I tried to fix it, it would just get worse. And this is my kid. Now, of course, that was an aspect of a change that I was going through that was like this with my friend here, Pluto. Pluto is a troublemaker. Isn't he the one that rules the underworlds? I mean, I know he represents death, but he represents transformation. I mean, he represents a lot of different things. But definitely is when we just go to that point where it's like there's no turning back, and no matter how much the mind tries to bring a story, at some point it realizes that there's no more to dig. It doesn't have any more options to give you to soothe you, and that's when you just give up, give in. And I'm not talking about always being suicidal. I mean, I've had those moments, but thank goodness, my angels and guides that come to my assistance. And as you release, after that release, something happened. And it's like you put all of that weight from your shoulders. It's like you lose it. You lose that weight. And yeah, there is a letting go, definitely. And of course, there's always hope. Hope comes back. Thank God. So that's why, Spirit is saying, hey, Pisces, don't give up. But anyways, yeah, so I had to come to that place with my daughter that all of the expectations that I had as a mother needed to end. So it's not that I would stop being her mom. It's just that whatever stories my mind had created to between her and I, my role as a mom and her as my daughter, and her behavior and her attitude towards me, all of those beliefs, they had to go out the window. And it wasn't until I completely gave up and I said, okay, I would love her and accept her unconditionally. I wish her the best of happiness. And no matter what happens, I'm just going to send her love because I love her. And that's probably why I was so upset, because yeah, I loved her, but a lot of times we love, and we love with conditions, with expectations. And I was being taught a lesson about no conditions. And that's a difficult thing to give up. I'm telling you, it's a hard thing to give up, because the nature of the mind is always to create conditions. It's not until we start operating more from our spirit side that we start understanding more of that attitude of our ego. And through, spirit and awareness and knowledge, we start, soothing, that aspect of us. So I completely gave all of it up, put it in the hands of God, and just sent her love, and decided that it's like starting brand new. So in the meantime, instead of focusing about, her, I started focusing in myself. What can I do this time in my life that will really bring me joy? What are the aspects of my creativity that I haven't explored? And as I began to do that, oh my goodness, she came around, and now we have an awesome relationship. But it's not like the mom that this is my baby, and she's still my baby. Okay, she always been my baby, but you know what I mean. It's just like, we're friends, and there's no expectations. I know she has a busy life. I'm really happy for her. She's very successful, and I can see how she loves me, and yeah, no regrets. So I'm just sharing that with you because I feel like, it's important. It's important in this reading. So with Saturn, here it's like it's coupling up with Pluto to help you change all of that structure and help rebuild it too. Because Saturn is about that. It's about some of the things or the habits or the values that we have in order to create, like our routines. And it talks about discipline. What is the type of discipline? Maybe, you something that you need to do that is outside your comfort zone. And with Cancer, it tells me that maybe you danced quite a bit sideways trying to avoid conflict. And, it was enough is enough. And or maybe that's what Cancer is trying to show you. Hey, Pisces, how about, this time just, do the, oh gosh, what is that song, Magnus style, with the Chinese, the Asian guys. Anyways, I can't think of the name right now, but, maybe it's time for you to dance sideways. So, you're getting a lot of support here during this time, but it's definitely a very emotional time for you. And, it'll be fine. Definitely it'll be fine. Just because, you have guides here and ancestors talking. And, one with the she-wolf is saying, hey, unleash the wild within. Use wolf medicine. This is a creature that is very sacred in Native American practices. And through him, you can learn about yourself. You can learn about empowerment, spiritual development, all of these things that are sometimes very soothing in times of discord. In the center of the reading, you have the High Priestess, and here we're talking that many of you have a connection with shamanic path. You have the ability to move in different dimensions, connect through the dream world with other worlds. Or you can, gain knowledge of how to learn or remember herbology or, healing. pretty much harness anything that is, mystical. Anything that is going to help you harness your mystical powers. So you have what it takes. This is a very Egyptian card, by the way. So see if that's something that calls you. But what I'm sensing here is something related, connection to the earth. There's a lot of earth energy in this. Although there is a lot of emotional stuff going on with you, Pisces, but there's a lot of earthly, energy coming to assist you, to ground you, okay? Remember that ultimately, no matter how many emotions you have to bring them into this reality. You're living a physical experience, so keep that in mind. And here the ego. This is another sacred energy that it represents the energy of the earth. But, in Native American, this is a great spirit, This is a great energy, and they consider it to be a messenger of the, great spirit, God. So whatever situation you're in, ego medicine tells you, rise above the situation as a visionary. Look at the bigger picture. Also work with the third eye with that card. Cancer here talks about with the moon. Remember that Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the moon is all about cycles. It's like everything in life, everything in nature is through cycles of expansion and cycles of rest. And when we're going through emotional, dramatic changes like this is a time to really reflect about the things you're doing and what are the things that you really would like to do. Because a lot of times we say, well, let's see, what have I done? What have I achieved? And it's like, what would you like to achieve? I mean, yes, you've come a long way. And you're going through some changes, and you're going to find yourself in a situation where you might just be alone for a little bit. All those people that have been around you, they are, going away. And those moments can sometimes makes us feel lonely. But you're not alone. You have a lot of good energy here, a lot of guides helping you. And, you can start learning and harnessing that power within you to help you expand your knowledge and understanding about spirit. Of course, here I see some of you are pregnant, you're expecting, because this card, it talks about that. Pregnancy. If it's a man, if we're talking about Pisces man, this is talking about whatever project you had in mind is going to, you're going to see the benefits of it. You're going to get what you want. Let's put it that way. It's like giving birth to ideas, giving birth to the project, but also pregnancy, mama. And if this is the case, and you're splitting up from the relationship, for those of you feminine women out there, Spirit says, don't worry about it. Don't worry about, how you're going to survive or how things are going to work out. A lot of times that vibration is what gets in the way of the people that are really willing to help or can help. So don't close yourself up and focus on the fear. A lot of times I always tell people, my messages are high vibrational messages. And if you're not in a good emotional state, you may hear something about my messages that sound off. I always say, if that's the case, come back when you're feeling better, and you will see that what I'm talking about is nothing to do with judgment, I do a lot of my own personal work not to, let that influence my readings. So, I want to be able to receive these blockages of information and translate it in a way that is going to help people, not turn them upside down. And if the best that I can do, Pisces, in my readings is to criticize people, it's like that defeats the purpose. So no. But anyways, here it's like they're saying just avoid getting caught up in that mental space of, and now what? How am I going to do it? The financial aspect of it. So discipline is the key to assist you during this time to feel better. Of course, it may not happen right away, but if you give yourself time, you will see that things are not as bad as you think, and that probably whatever happened was the best thing. I would say that many of you were not surprised. Now, if you Pisces are in a relationship, the opportunity here remains the same. It's for you to go through this transformation. It's going to feel like parts of you are dying, but that's just the old you. Okay? One of the things I've gone through this work, and I've started a while back, but last year I did plant medicine. I have some videos about it, and I worked with my shadow, and that was one of the most difficult work I ever done, because this deals with all of our traumas, and not just our own, but our ancestors too, other incarnations. It's like you move into this reality where all the pain lives, and it's insane. So yeah, it's not easy, but I will tell you, it is the doorway to really feel healthy. I have never felt as good as I feel right now, and it's because I feel like I'm not this compartmentalized person anymore. That's how I felt sometimes. Like there were parts of me that were missing. Now I don't feel that way. And it's very, very, very enlightening to know your own limitations. When you do that, you're able to know how far or how willing you are to, put yourself in a situation where it's not good for you. I've learned that, before I used to feel guilty if I would say no. And now it's like, do I really want to get myself involved? I don't think so. And there are times when people come and, if they ask, I say, I'm so sorry, but I just don't have what it takes. I'm not the right person for you. So once you learn to own that, it's so powerful. It's way more powerful to work with your limitations than your actually virtues, because it lets people know a level of integrity that a lot of people don't cultivate. So anyways, so here definitely Pisces is a time that for some of you is going to be difficult, but you can do it. Of course you can do it, and you will do beautifully. But of course, at some point you need to come back to the surface of the world, to the reality of Earth realm, and you'll see that a lot of your emotions will change for the better, of course. Spirit is talking about 2 stones that you could work this time around, and they're talking about hematite. So get yourself a hematite and work with, what was the other stone? Hematite. Oh, okay, so if you go out to the park or something, or for a walk, and you see a rock, pick up a rock. But you got to make sure that you're attracted to it. And, of course, clean them with salt and water, and then like pray to them or charge them with the moon, the full moon, and then carry them with you. And anytime that you feel like you need to regain balance, or you're, all over the place because you may feel scattered, just hold the stones. It's very helpful to ground your energy. Protect and ground. Who better than the energy of Mother Earth? So, that's one of the ways that can help you. Of course, there's many other ways that you can choose to help you during this moment, but definitely the Spirit says storm is going to end soon, and you'll see what's going to happen afterwards, because it's like the sunlight is going to come out in your life, and you're going to feel really good about what you've done this time around. Also remember that we're going to have eclipses, lots of eclipses, and that's going to accelerate things in our lives. So we have to be ready. We have to be ready and able to know what we want to do. We don't want to be caught up in a lot of that emotional past and with things that are no longer representing who we are. All right, Pisces, that's all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed my reading. Remember to always love yourself, and I will see you next time. Thank you for being here.